You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Thomas. You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week. Governor Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff faces 23 charges in a federal fraud indictment. Plus, in dollars and cents, budget-friendly Thanksgiving ideas that won't sacrifice taste or tradition. Then we hit the back roads. John Bartell takes us on a road trip through Plumas County to see the fall colors. ABC10 Plus This Week starts now.
And we are learning new details tonight about Governor Newsom's former chief of staff, now facing 23 charges related to fraud. Dana Williamson is accused of co-conspiring in a scheme to siphon money from a dormant campaign account belonging to Javier Becerra. ABC10's Becca Hodbecker is joining us live in studio. And Becca, you have been digging into this case all day today.
Yeah, Alex, the Sacramento Bee first broke this story yesterday, and since then it has made national headlines. Now, to be absolutely clear, neither Newsom nor Becerra are accused of any wrongdoing in this case. Supporters of Williamson say they think President Trump is trying to find dirt on Newsom, his political foe, and that Williamson allegedly got taken down in the process.
No, you guys can contact the attorney.
This was the scene outside the federal courthouse in Sacramento Wednesday as Dana Williamson, flocked by supporters and journalists, left the building after a court appearance. This former chief of staff for Governor Newsom faces 23 charges in this grand jury indictment made public Wednesday, including bank fraud, wire fraud, and subscribing to false tax returns, as well as making false statements to the FBI.
You know, I don't know the facts of the case, but I do know this, that we've seen this administration go overboard, weaponizing both the FBI and the Department of Justice. I mean, they showed up at her house with a SWAT team, with guns and shields. They put her teenage son in handcuffs. I mean, this is not normal behavior for the Department of Justice or FBI for white-collar allegations. And I think they're trying to squeeze her and other people to get back at Governor Newsom.
Longtime Sacramento-based Democratic strategist and political consultant Steve Maviglio considers Williamson a friend.
Dana's a very close friend, but she's also a colleague. I worked with her for a couple governors and also in the private sector.
He says he believes his friend, who has pleaded not guilty to the indictment. A grand jury accuses her and co-conspirators of orchestrating a scheme to steal approximately $225,000 from a dormant campaign account of former Health Secretary Javier Becerra. That's California's former Attorney General, who was serving at the time as U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary under then-President Biden. Court documents say this spanned February of 2022 through September of 2024. Williamson served as Newsom's chief of staff for about 2 years, leaving in November of 2024. Alleged co-conspirators include Becerra's former chief of staff, Sean McCluskey, and registered lobbyist Greg Campbell. Both men took plea agreements and are due in court Friday. The indictment says Williamson claimed more than $1 million in business deductions on her taxes for what were actually personal expenses that included private jet travel, stays at luxury hotels, home decor, and designer handbags.
As someone who knew Dana for many years, who worked with her, did not have a particularly good relationship with her, full disclosure, this is not surprising to me at all.
Gil Duran used to work with Williamson. In an interview Wednesday with CNN's Alex Michelson, he called her a bully and power-hungry.
This was how she operated, like a mafia boss, and now she's being treated like a mafia boss. The only reason Dana Williamson acted the way she did for so many years, and what led to this situation, was that she felt she could act with impunity.
Both Newsom and Becerra have issued statements distancing themselves from Williamson, but pointing to the importance of the justice process playing out fairly. ABC 10 reached out to Williamson's attorneys Thursday and did not hear back, but one told the LA Times he objects to federal officials' handling of his client's arrest, calling the sudden arrest operation grandstanding.
We got a tip yesterday morning that there were about to be charges filed against a former governor's office officials.
Nicole Nixon is California politics reporter at the Sacramento Bee and one of 3 reporters who broke the story Wednesday afternoon.
This story raises a lot of questions just about this culture of consultants and lobbyists, paying themselves and using their relationships with each other and public officials to enrich themselves. So I think that this is definitely something that we'll be looking into in the next few weeks.
Dana Williamson had so much power in the California Democratic Party that there's a statue of her daughter on top of California Democratic Party headquarters in Sacramento.
This claim caught our attention, so we looked into it. Indeed, there is this statue called Persist on top of the party's headquarters in Sacramento. It was installed in 2017, shortly after this similar statue called Fearless appeared in New York City, staring down the bull on Wall Street. A source tells ABC10 Williamson's daughter did serve as the model, but Persist was simply the California Democratic Party's female empowering nod to this East Coast counterpart, not an ode to Williamson.
I reached out today to both the California Democratic Party and GOP. Neither opted to comment for this story, which we will continue to follow. Alex.
All right, Becca, thank you. And the federal indictment lists 4 other co-conspirators that Becca just mentioned. One of them is Sean McCluskey, a longtime aide to former health secretary and gubernatorial candidate Xavier Becerra. The indictment alleges that Dana Williamson developed a plan with McCluskey to siphon money from one of Becerra's dormant state campaign accounts. McCluskey signed a plea agreement on October 30th, admitting to 1 count of conspiracy to commit bank fraud and then wire fraud. That's according to court filings. Lobbyist Greg Campbell also signed a plea deal. He admitted to 1 count of conspiracy to commit bank fraud and wire fraud and 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States. Alexis Podesta, another co-conspirator, is a well-known Sacramento Democratic political consultant who serves on the State Compensation Insurance Fund. Campaign finance records show a total of $18,000 from the dormant Becerra account to Podesta Company between 2023 and 2024. Podesta is not facing charges and is cooperating with federal investigators.
It is time for all things current in California politics. Joining me again today, editor-in-chief, Capital Weekly publication, Rich Eisen. Rich, a lot to chew on today. Dana Williamson, former chief of staff for Governor Newsom, and 2 other people charged with stealing money, corruption. Has this rocked the Capitol?
Yeah, short version, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, look, I think it took all of us by surprise. Of course, I was at an event with many other folks in our world, and, it went through the room like wildfire. You could see, all the reporters suddenly getting up and running out of the room, and several had to leave and go to the courthouse and that kind of thing. I think it's certainly, been extraordinarily impactful on the governor. They were very quick to note that, Dana does not work for the governor anymore, and that all of these things that she is accused of doing happened before she became his chief of staff. Because they know that this is going to get used against him, and I think we're all pretty confident he's going to run for president. So, yeah, this was a big hit.
She had alleged co-conspirators in this, Greg Campbell, Sean McCluskey, allegedly. But they have pled guilty, and they are cooperating, which would mean, if this is all true, Dana Williamson has a very steep uphill fight to prove innocence here.
Yeah, when others involved are already cooperating, it would certainly seem to make it a really heavy lift for her. Now, her attorney is a former U.S. attorney. Just went brain dead here. Former U.S. attorney here in California has promised to, defend her vigorously.
Of course.
So, of course, that's what you would expect. It seems like they have a lot of stuff on her, though.
Okay, let's go to the race for governor, which we love to cover, or maybe it's just me and you're like, why are we doing this again? So the latest Too Soon poll now has Chad Bianco, the Republican, at number 1. Who is Chad Bianco? We know he's a sheriff in Riverside County and all that, but to get that type of support at 13%, now ahead of Katie Porter, who dropped 6 points.
Yeah.
What does this mean? Anything?
No, it doesn't mean anything.
The primary is in June. It's not that far off.
Primary's in June. The final filing deadlines are in February. It's the thing I was at yesterday, there was a lot of discussion about this. And right now, polls, right now they just don't mean that much. I think at the end of the day, we'll see in February, because I think we're all still anticipating a Rick Caruso or a Swalwell, maybe a Tom Steyer, somebody else on the Republican side. We haven't heard any specific names on the Republican side, but there's a good chance with all the shakeup and redistricting, and I think when we start having these conversations in February, we'll have a much better idea of what this is going to look like.
Okay, to your point, in that poll, 44% undecided.
Yes.
Okay, so
100%.
yes. Okay, SB 41 signed by the governor,
Yeah.
And this is about pharmacy benefit managers. If you have prescriptions that you're having difficult time getting your insurance company to approve, will SB 41 help? And obviously, pharmacy benefit managers appear very much to be the bad dudes in this.
Yeah, it's interesting. To answer the first question, I think time will tell. We're not 100% sure on that. What is going to happen, though, is that these organizations, which they are essentially the middlemen between the pharmacy, or excuse me, the drug manufacturers and, your doctor. So if you're going to get a medication, they're the ones that are going to have to approve it, right? And there's a great benefit for them. They're getting drugs put on the approval list based on, certain things. And there's money to be made. They often get a cut of that. So critics have contended for a long time that they are a big part of why drug costs have gone through the roof. Many, many states before us have regulated PBMs in much stronger ways than we virtually had no regulations. There was the Wild West here. Yeah. So now they're going to have to register with the state. They're going to have to have a lot of more approval stuff come from the state. So time will tell, but I do think that it's a good chance that this will affect everybody's drug prices a little bit.
Okay, it's a big story in Capital Weekly, SB 41, so a lot of people interested in that. So, okay, Rich Eisen, Editor-in-Chief, Capital Weekly. Rich, thank you.
Of course.
New tonight, a federal warning, a state reversal, and thousands of immigrant truckers in California caught in the crossfire. The state says it must revoke 17,000 commercial licenses to drive because of new federal requirements.
The Trump administration says it's because of an ongoing audit. But critics say the timing's anything but coincidence. ABC 10's Garshpal Sangha explains what it could mean for your wallet.
The state calls it a correction, fixing licenses issued beyond when drivers are allowed in the country legally. But for thousands of immigrant truckers, advocates say it feels like punishment wrapped in politics.
Not even 24 hours from last almost couple of days. I'm so busy.
Rajinder Singh has spent 22 years helping drivers navigate permits and compliance.
Unfortunately,
Singh says he receives about 200 calls a day.
Let me put that on silent.
He says many drivers are in tears, worried about payments, jobs, and how their families will get by.
Everybody was crying. They said, what are we going to do? We have 60 days only left over, and we have truck payments.
And he warns California could feel the strain far beyond the cab.
This will not only hit to the trucking company, this will hit everybody in America. The reason is, once there will be shortage of trucks, the chain supply will be affected for sure.
The issue exploded nationwide after a series of deadly crashes, renewing questions about state-issued CDLs to drivers here without permanent status. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy in a statement saying, part quote, after weeks of claiming they did nothing wrong, Newsom and California have been caught red-handed. Now we have exposed their lies. 17,000 illegally issued trucking licenses are being revoked. ABC 10 reached out to the DMV about these licenses. They referred us to the Governor Newsom's office, who fired back, saying once again Sean Road Rules Duffy fails to share the truth, spreading easily disproven falsehoods in a sad and desperate attempt to please his dear leader. Saying also part of the nonprofit United Sikhs, also known as Sikhs, says safety should drive policy, not immigration status.
English test has to be added on the commercial license test. There could be more training. If we are just targeting the driver on their basis of immigration status, I think that is absolutely not fair. That is not the justice.
And this topic is in the court in the D.C. Circuit. The Court of Appeals has issued a pause on the rule, giving a stay so both parties can figure this out in the courts. Reporting from Sacramento, Garshpal Sangha, ABC 10.
And so with Congress choosing not to extend Obamacare subsidies, at least not yet, the future of the cost of health care remains in limbo.
Fewer subsidies means higher insurance premiums, a reality Californians are already seeing. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh has the latest.
1, 2, 3. Stay, good boy. This is 35-year-old Clyde Sherikova-Sudarma, a husband, father, veterinarian, and Covered California enrollee. We introduced you to him when it was unclear whether pandemic-era Obamacare subsidies, known as enhanced premium tax credits, would be extended. With the government reopened, subsidies are still set to sunset at the end of the year, pending a December Senate floor vote.
I just have to deal with it. It's almost like I'm taking healthcare into my own hands.
With higher insurance premiums, Sherikova-Sudarma says he's opting for less care. He says under his current silver tier plan, he pays about $122 monthly. Downgrading to the bronze tier in January, he will pay $137 monthly.
So I'm paying more for what I'm getting lesser.
The irony for Sherikova-Sudarma is that he cares for the pets of the homeless, yet he's in trouble with his own health care now. Sherikova-Sudarma says he needs an annual preventative screening for a previous brain tumor that's now grown back. He says he'll likely stop getting screened.
Healthcare is not an equitable thing because of the costs. Ooh, nice teeth.
According to Covered California, there are nearly 2 million enrollees and at least 400,000 will be impacted with expiring subsidies, with the 97% average increase in monthly premiums.
These are folks that are getting support right now, and in a matter of days, December, when the subsidies expire, to January, seeing huge increases in what they're expected to contribute.
Dr. Monica Soni with Covered California says the government reopening doesn't change anything since they've been preparing for higher premiums. But the sooner a final answer from Congress, the better, she says, as open enrollment is underway.
There will be some folks who choose to go uninsured who we won't be able to bring back.
Jenny Huh, ABC 10.
New tonight, Stockton City Council had a special meeting that turned into a night of tension and tough questions.
From allegations of misused funds by the former interim city manager to calls for an investigation into the vice mayor, ABC 10's Garshpal Sangha has a closer look at how it all unfolded and what happens next.
It started as a meeting about money and accountability, but it quickly became personal.
Finish the point of order. See, the problem is my point of order.
The Stockton City Council met in a special meeting to address allegations that former interim city manager Steve Colangelo signed off on a letter of commitment of nearly $850,000 to a nonprofit without council approval for a state grant.
It is about process, and Charter Section 2002, City Manager Expenditure Authority, does not give him the authority to even write the letter.
Vice Mayor Jason Lee has led this charge, saying this wasn't about the project or the nonprofit itself, but about following city law. Residents Wednesday night voiced frustrations, demanding transparency and civility.
Transparency is not optional. Accountability is not optional. You don't need investigations. You need intervention.
As tensions flared between Lee and Councilmember Brando Villa-Padua, the meeting paused after a heated exchange turned personal. Despite the back and forth, the council unanimously voted to refer the matter about the former interim city manager to outside investigators, including the county grand jury, district attorney's office, and the state attorney general. In the second half of the meeting, Mayor Christina Fugazi called for an ad hoc committee to look into the allegation against Vice Mayor Lee. Fugazi says some city staff reported feeling harassed and threatened.
A staff member came to me and said, can't you make this stop? It makes us scared for our jobs, it adds a level of stress.
She also shared a video of the vice mayor calling her out on social media. Lee says the relationship between the mayor has gotten a little better since the remarks he made in this video, but he doesn't regret most of what he said.
I don't apologize for using my free speech. We as a group need to figure out how to get back to working. And I think an open forum where we put it all out there, and I say all of the concerns that the mayor's raised, I think is a fair start to that process.
After another round of debate, the council nearly voted 4-3 to create the committee that only Mayor Fugazi and Councilmember Michelle Padilla will be on.
If that's what it takes to put us in the right direction, then so be it.
Lee was one of 3 who voted against the ad hoc committee's creation. And with that, the meeting ended where it began, calls for transparency, and this council still trying to find common ground. Reporting from Stockton, Garshpal Sangha, ABC 10.
Garshpal, thank you. ABC 10 did reach out to Jason Lee late tonight for a statement about the creation of this ad hoc committee. Stay with ABC 10 for updates.
In tonight's Dollars and Cents. The clock is ticking to Turkey Day, but there's still time to plan your feast without starving your wallet. We know many of you are still feeling the pinch of high food prices, so here are some ways to cook and host your Thanksgiving on a budget. You can shop smart for Thanksgiving if you plan ahead and take a closer look at what you want to serve and how many mouths you need to feed. Saving big on one of the year's biggest meals boils down to the kinds of ingredients you choose. For example, stick to basics. Most Thanksgiving dishes only need a few ingredients. Avoid fancy oils and condiments. Don't double up on similar sides. A main dish and 2 or 3 sides should be just fine. Use frozen or canned food. They're often cheaper than fresh fruits and veggies, and dried herbs also tend to be cheaper. Buy it already made. If you don't have the several ingredients already on hand to, say, make a pumpkin pie from scratch, it might be cheaper to buy a finished pie. Borrow instead of buy. Do you need a big roasting pan or a folding table? Ask around. And that goes for ingredients too. For example, if your recipe only calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, ask a friend before buying a whole container. You can also save money by cutting down on the number of dishes you need to make. Try hosting a potluck-style dinner. Prioritize dishes you love. Do you cherish having a full bird at the center of your table? Go for it and scale back on your sides. If you feel turkey is a chore, make turkey breasts instead and focus your energy on side dishes. Skip or scale back on alcohol. With recent tariffs this year, certain wines and liquors are more expensive. But if an alcohol-free Thanksgiving is off the menu, try a big bowl of cider or punch, which could cost far less than several bottles of wine. Don't overdo it. For 10 or fewer people, a smaller turkey that's 12 to 14 pounds should be plenty. Love your leftovers. Think of Thanksgiving also as a chance to meal prep. You can keep your grocery bill low the week after Thanksgiving by stretching out those leftovers into different recipes, like turkey enchiladas or potato pancakes. When it comes to the star of the show, keep in mind many grocery store chains offer free turkeys. But read the fine print. You'll likely have to spend a certain amount within a certain amount of time. And be on the lookout for free ham. Stores sometimes run this same offer for Christmas. Remember, there are more ways to save and stick to your holiday budget. Just watch our other Dollars and Cents coverage streaming right now on the free ABC10 Plus TV streaming app. You can also email me your questions at lpainter@abc10.com.
Okay, so how's this for a Sacramento success story? One of the biggest and most influential YouTube channels in the world started right here in the capital city. Smosh popped up nearly 20 years ago with Ian Hecox and Anthony Padilla gaining an audience by making sketches and parodies, often filming in areas around their Rosemont neighborhood. The two creators, now in their 30s, tell us there were a lot of advantages to filming in the Sacramento area.
Cost-wise, we were able to shoot everything in Sacramento for much cheaper than Los Angeles. And we could also get away with a lot more in public.
A lot of my favorite memories of Sacramento are the strange locations that we got to shoot in, and as part of the exploring and finding these spots and discovering them for ourselves.
Yeah, the channel currently has 27 million subscribers, and Smosh had the most subscribers of any YouTube channel in 2006, 2007, and 2013. You can see the full interview right now on our website, ABC10.com.
If you've never been to Plumas County before, you're missing out. This rural part of Northern California has a lot to offer. It's rich in natural beauty and small-town charm. Oh, and it also has a lot of old barns with these eye-catching designs on them.
What is this thing? So this is a full-size 8-foot barn quilt.
Barn quilt?
Yeah.
What is a barn quilt?
We painted these barn quilts as a tourism project, and they came from Amish country in the East Coast, Pennsylvania, Ohio.
There's about 100 barn quilts scattered all across Plumas County, and Jeff Titcomb helped paint and install a majority of them.
I had painted several in Indian Valley that were out of the barn quilts of the Civil War. So the history goes back to where they were actually doing barn quilts then.
The best way to see and learn about this unique artwork is by driving along the Barn Quilt Trail, which takes you on a loop through Plumas County's farmland. And the best time to do it, in my opinion, is in the fall.
This time of year, it's really beautiful because of the fall colors. And obviously, we have a lot of fall color. The 4 seasons here are really spectacular.
The town of Quincy is a great place to start the barn quilt trail. The fall colors are really popping along Main Street and by the courthouse and church. Over by the sawmill, you'll find some barn quilts at the fairground, some big and some small. Barn quilts date back to the 1700s when European immigrants painted designs on barns to serve as road markers or family symbols, but Jeff says some barn quilts were created for superstitious reasons.
Germany, Austria, different places, they would have put these up and to ward off witches from the barns, and then it also gave them something pretty to look at in the winter.
Just down the road towards the east end of Genesee Valley is a historic barn, which is also part of the Feather River Land Trust, a great place for photos and maybe a picnic.
Feather River Land Trust has preserved this property forever to not be developed. Will be used as ranch lands, 900 acres of land here.
The Barn Quilt Tour takes you through many small towns, and one worth stopping at is Taylorsville in Indian Valley, where you'll pass several barn quilts before reaching Young's Market, which has 2 claims to fame. First being inside Young's Market, you'll find California's oldest working cash register, built in 1914. And the second one is on Main Street.
Clint Eastwood is a fugitive hunter in pink Cadillac.
They filmed the Pink Cadillac here with Clint Eastwood and Bernadette Peters, right here in front of the Young's Market.
Unique, beautiful, and historic, barn quilts are a rural tradition that reflects the expression of farming communities. And when you set that up with a backdrop of fall colors, it gives travelers an excuse to explore Plumas County. Checking out the fall colors on the Barn Quilt Tour in Plumas County. I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Thanks for watching ABC 10 Plus this week. We are here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Chris Thomas. We'll see you next time.